Morning, everyone. I'm Mark Nowak, the solicitor for PWSA. Today is our annual meeting, in which we elect our board officers for one-year term or until a successor is elected. I will conduct the annual meeting for the election of officers. We'll address agenda item number 7, the first resolution. Following the election, I will return the gavel to the new chair to conduct the remainder of the meeting, including the adjournment of this meeting and the regular PWSA meeting for this month. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Miss Barron,
Here.
Miss Costello,
Here.
Mr. Domock,
Here.
Miss Leber,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Dr. Morrell,
Here.
Mr. Shuley,
Here.
Miss Strasburger. Here. All board members are present.
Thank you. Ask for consideration and approval of agenda item 7, election of officers of the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority.
Motion to approve, Audrey Morrow. Second, Peg McCormick Barron.
All right. Any discussion?
Just thankful that the officers are willing to continue serving. Thanks, it's an honor. Happy to serve.
Thank you. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the resolution number 7 has unanimously passed. The new chairperson and old chairperson is Alex Shuley, Vice Chair Erica Strasburger, Secretary Treasurer BJ Lieber, Assistant Treasurer Michael Domock. Congratulations, and I return the meeting to the chair, Alex Shuley.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Let's take a motion to adjourn the annual meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn the annual meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning the annual meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the annual meeting is adjourned. We'll move to the regular board meeting of the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority, February 24th, 2023. We'll start with, are there any speakers for public comment?
There are no registered speakers for public comment today.
All right, very good. Thank you. Next item will be the approval of the meeting minutes of the January 27th, 2023 board meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Audrey Morrow.
Thank you, Audrey. Is there a second?
Second, Peg McCormick Barron.
Thanks, Peg. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of the January 27th, 2023 board meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the meeting minutes are approved. Next item is the confirmation of CEO approvals. All CEO approvals from the prior month are confirmed. Next, we'll move to reports and updates, and we'll start with the finance department. There, Mr. Barca.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members of the PWSA board, and happy Friday. Included in your board packet is the finance report through January 31st, 2023. As it relates to the finance report, I would like to draw your attention to the new finance report format that emphasizes the 2023 actuals as compared to the 2023 budget, rather than a year-to-date comparison to the prior year. I feel this new format will provide more insight as we progress through the year. In addition to this enhancement, I also plan to include quarterly reports in the board packet that will provide a detailed narrative description of PWSA's financial status. Specifically, looking within this board report for this month, you will see that revenue collections for January were approximately $15.6 million, which is approximately $2 million higher than we had anticipated. Expenses for the month, including debt, were $12.4 million, which was in line with what we had budgeted. In addition, PWSA's cash balance remains at a near all-time high, with the expectation that that cash balance will remain strong throughout the year. It is at this time that I will turn it back over to the board and answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Barca or comments?
Just a thumbs up on the format.
Thank you.
I second that. Really like the new format.
Great. Thank you.
I would also like to compliment that. It makes a big difference for a board member.
All right. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
We'll move to the engineering department and Mr. King.
Good morning, members of our board. This morning, I'll begin with a brief update on our drinking water programs. Progress has been continued to be made in the design and construction of our water reliability program projects. Construction continues on our Rising Main number 4 rehabilitation and replacement project, as well as the Highland Reservoir Supply and Rising Main project in Highland Park. Design and permitting efforts continue with regard to the balance of the WRP projects. Design review meetings continue between PWSA engineering and operations staff, as well as design engineer and the third-party review consultants to refine the designs of the Aspinwall Pump Station, the Brecken Pump Station improvements, as well as the Clearwell Emergency Response Project, which includes the emergency bypass. PADP, Public Water Supply Construction Permit applications, as well as NPDES permitting and SHPO reviews are in progress for the ABC projects, the Aspinwall Pump Station, the Landford Reservoir Rising Main project, and the Landford Reservoir Improvement projects. The Highland Reservoir Pump Station project design is finalized and will be going out for advertisement in March. Finally, I received word today from Duquesne Light that they have received their right of entry from the city of Pittsburgh for the Aspinwall Water Treatment Plant and will begin mobilizing and commencing on their construction project for our new 4.16 kV power supply substation at the Aspinwall Water Treatment Plant. That's part of our water reliability plan project as well. So that is good news. This concludes Engineering and Construction's February board report. I turn it back over to the board for any questions.
Any questions or comments for Mr. King?
I don't have any questions, but I did want to compliment the staff in their response to the recent boil water advisory that was precipitated by the power outage, and the responsiveness and the communication was really noteworthy. And so I just wanted to let the board and weigh in and congratulate the staff on that incident.
I will definitely extend that to the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Any other questions or comments for Mr. King? All right, thank you, Barry. We move to the Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer report, Mr. Sideri.
Right. Good morning, everyone. 2 items to address you on this morning, just to provide some updates. First, as hopefully you're aware, one of the functions of the Environmental Compliance Department is to prepare and submit a lot of our required reports for either permits or regulatory requirements that we have. The beginning of the year is a pretty busy time. We have a lot of semi-annual and annual reports that are due in the January to March timeframe. So I thought it was timely to just provide an update of those reports that we do provide into various agencies. So they include an NPDES stormwater report. This is our annual report submitted to DEP on the status of our industrial stormwater discharges at the water treatment plant. We have an NPDES CSO, Combined Sewer Overflow Status Report. It's also an annual report submitted to DEP, and it documents various CSO occurrences and associated operation and maintenance activities with that system. We have a SMCR, it's the Self-Monitoring Compliance Reports. These are both annual and semi-annual reports that we submit to ELCASAN, and they summarize our industrial wastewater discharges to their system. This year, we had reports that we've submitted from the water treatment plant, our Howard Yard, the Brecken Pump Station, the Heron Hill Reservoir, as well as the Landford Supply Main. So all of those are individual reports for those permits. An air quality report that we submit. This is a semi-annual report that we submit to the Allegheny County Health Department. It's on our maintenance and operation of our gas-fired boilers, as well as our engine generators that we have at both the water treatment plant, as well as our Brecken pump station. And we also submit an air quality certification on an annual basis to the health department for those same boilers and engine-driven generators. On to some waste reports that we submit. We have a residual waste report, and it's actually a biannual report. It's submitted on the odd years. So we had one to do this year. And that is related to the residual waste disposal, the waste that we send out of the wastewater treatment plant. So plant trash, screenings, debris, and other non-hazardous waste. And we also submit a what's called a 25R source reduction report. It's only needs to be updated every 5 years, and we're doing that this year. And essentially, this is a report we keep on file, and it demonstrates activities that we have in place to reduce the amount of waste that we're sending away for disposal. So this is our recycling activities, our beneficial reuse, so that we can avoid disposal of some of those wastes. Two more. One is the waste load report. It's an annual report that we prepare. We actually submit one to Penn Hills and another one to Elkasan. And this is our discharges from our sewer systems into their system. They need that report because they have to submit a report on to DEP annually. And finally, we submit an annual report. It's called the SARA Tier 2 report. It's submitted to PA Department of Labor and Industry, and it provides an inventory of all of our chemical storages that we have at the water treatment plant and our remote facilities, so that they can be aware of where we have chemicals. Some of that goes out to first responders and agencies to be aware of that. So we're on schedule to get all of these submitted. A lot of them have already been turned in to some of those agencies. And if you have any questions on the various details of any of these reports, just let me know. Be more than happy to get into the weeds on those. The second item I wanted to recognize is our engineering department. This year, we've rolled out, end of last year, we started to roll out 2 new technical specifications that have been incorporated into our bid documents for our capital projects. These include one that's on environmental compliance and conduct, and another one that's on our temporary environmental controls. The specifications help establish some requirements for our contractors to appoint a project compliance manager, somebody that the compliance group can directly interact with. And it also requires them to submit specific plans for an environmental protection as well as waste management. These topics all become part of a conference that's held in conjunction with the kickoff meetings. So we do this stuff up front. And we've had a number of them start this week with some of the awards that have been recently made this year. So that concludes my remarks for today. I always end by just letting everybody know, board, our staff, as well as our contractors, that if there are any compliance or ethics concerns, they're welcome to reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you. So any questions today?
Thank you, Frank. Any questions or comments for Mr. Sadary? All right, great. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the Chief Executive Officer's report. Will?
Good morning, members of the board, PWSA staff present, tuning in, as well as members of the public. I have to say, I felt a little piece of me was missing last month. I missed the board meeting. I think it was about the first time in the 5 or so years I've been at PWSA that I've missed a board meeting. But kind of feels good also to say I was invited to the White House to represent PWSA, and I was really proud to do so based on the work that our team has been undergoing for some time. Had the opportunity to serve on a panel with federal officials as well as industry stakeholders to talk about our lead service line replacement program, and in particular, how we're utilizing different sources of federal funding and assistance to fund the program, and the way that we're equitably rolling it out. EPA has seen us and is using us as a model. We are going to participate in a technical assistance relationship among other state utilities to be part of an accelerator program so that we can share our lessons learned, which I think is something that's really important as we're all in this together to try to eradicate this public health concern. So really a kudos to the PWSA team for creating and continuing to implement such a great program, and it had us, had me have the honor to share that with a really neat group of folks at the White House last month. Along the lines with the lead service line replacement program, today marks actually the 10,000th lead service line replaced on the public side since we started this in 2016. So a monumental number, 10,000 sites that we've been at, but really we've been to thousands more because we're digging at sites and determining whether there's lead or not, and often there's not lead. So a lot of construction activity, $270 million approximately invested to date for this work. We think we're about halfway there. We're actually over halfway there. And I really do want to thank the board of directors, present and past, for setting us on a path where we have a program that is a national model, where we are replacing full lead service lines at no cost to our customers. And it's really just a success that we can share collectively. And there will be an event later on today where we're going to share this recognition with state, federal, and local partners, because it has taken a village for us to get to this point. It will take a village for us to get to the finish line in 2026, where we can be a drinking water system with no more lead service lines. We're going to get there, but it's going to take some teamwork. Shifting gears a bit, you may have noticed in the performance report that our customer service metrics in the past month are getting close to where they were. They're trending in the right direction. And so I want to provide a kudos to our contact center, their management, and the whole customer service team. You may recall some of the metrics declined during our transition to our new customer portal and our customer information system, SAP. So we are making progress. We thank our customers for bearing through some longer than typical wait times, but we're back to delivering the service that our customers expect and deserve. So wanted to acknowledge that as well. And I also want to recognize Dr. Morell mentioned the boil water advisory that we had a few weeks ago that was triggered by a Duquesne Light Company power outage. Our team in the middle of the night or early morning really reacted very quickly. Our electricians, our operations and production staff, and everyone in this room playing some role at beginning at either 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning, and through the period where we could lift that advisory. An awesome team effort. We always look to see how we can improve in the way that we communicate with customers and also how quickly we respond. But I would give us a good rating on this one. And I do want to thank the public for those that were impacted for their patience. This was a precautionary measure. Our utmost focus is the quality and safety of our drinking water. So this was the right thing for us to do, albeit we recognize that there was an inconvenience for those 6,000 or so customers who were impacted. And then finally, I want to end by providing a warm welcome to Jim Martin, who is our Vice Chancellor of Pitt for Innovation and Research. He's joining our board for his first meeting this morning. We're very excited to have him round out the team here for our volunteer board of directors. His expertise in civil engineering will certainly be a compliment to the board. We look forward to getting to know him and working with him in the future. And I want to thank our re-elected executive committee of the board and thank them. Your leadership to date has been tremendous in being a sounding board for us in the leadership team, as well as providing oversight and guidance in a tremendous amount of time. So we appreciate you taking that on again for another year. We're forever grateful for your contribution to PWSA and its customers for that. So with that, Chair, that routes up my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Any questions for Will?
I have a question. This is Erica Strasburger. Not a question. I wanted to brag a little bit on behalf of the engineering team for their awards at the ASCE award ceremony recently. Barry King and many others on his team for the recognition, the deserved recognition for the work that he's done and the whole team has done. So really wanted to highlight that and make sure that the public was aware that in yet another way, the work that Team PWSA is doing is being recognized throughout the region and throughout the country.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erica. That's a good one. Yeah, and we're scheduled to also, our Highland 2 project received some merit, award of merit, and then the upcoming engineers banquet, we're also going to be recognized. So yes, I totally agree that it's nice to be acknowledged for the fine work that PWSA is doing. Appreciate the board's support through all of this. I do want to go back before we get to the resolutions and let everyone know that we did meet an executive session prior to the board meeting. No votes were taken. We did get some updates on the boil water advisories and some other questions and so forth. And I want to add my welcome to Jim Martin as well. I think it's great that Jim is joining the board and bringing his wealth of experience and knowledge. And I think it's very apropos that Jim's coming on board as well when we're really in the midst of this water reliability plan and some of the things that are occurring, even with the power outage that occurred earlier, that there was so much money invested in upgrading the Brecken pump station and other things that are going on with the new Highland pump station that's being constructed and some of the electrical feeds and redundancies that we're adding to the system. So it'd be great to have Jim on board and have him have a fresh look at some of the things that we're doing. So Jim, welcome. Would you like to make any remarks before we get to the resolution?
Well, I would like to say certainly it's a pleasure and great privilege to serve. This is a terrific board. I've noticed the leadership and the responsiveness. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to serve the city, but most importantly, I think represent in a national way and certainly in a regional way, the way that we can solve challenges and increase reliability and provide the best services possible. And I can see that, it's a forward-focused board and it's a great city. And this was the center of the industrial age, as this country was developed. And I think this is the best place to actually show how it's done. So I'm glad to be a part of this great board and the great work and the recognition already, and our best days are ahead. So thank you so much for the warm welcome and for the opportunities that we have.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. I loved when Will emphasized the word volunteer. This week was an especially busy week for me personally with PWSA. Not only we were going through the whole power feedback and lessons learned and so forth, but had meetings with Will, and we had finance committee meetings, we had executive committee meetings, and now board meetings. My wife said, "Are you a volunteer or are you getting paid for this?" So just so we all know, it is a volunteer position. Thank you, Will, and thank you all for serving on this board. And as Jim said, a very important board, one of the most important boards in our region. And the work that we're doing here is benefiting many, many citizens of the city of Pittsburgh and our adjoining regions. So with that, we'll move to the resolutions. We'll start with resolution number 8. Mr. King.
Resolution number 8 is a request for the board's approval to award a professional services agreement under capital for the construction management and construction inspection services for the 2022 small diameter water main replacement project to Hatch Associates Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $6,998,000. Note, this award is specifically for CI services for our small diameter water main project, which involves our relay of water mains, including replacing of the valves, hydrants, and service lines as required for these 3 separate contracts. Staff recommends the board approve this award.
Thank you, Barry. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Audrey Morel.
Thank you, Audrey. Is there a second?
Second, Erica Strasberger.
Thanks, Erica. Any discussion?
I just want to really recognize the effort that's being made about the minority participation, the MWDBE, not just for this one, but it was consistent through all of the things that have been supported. So just the diligence of the team to be able to make sure that we're being inclusive in terms of the spend. I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you, Audrey. All those in favor of resolution number 8, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 8 is approved. Resolution number 9, Barry.
Resolution number 9 is a request for the board's approval of an amendment of a professional services agreement under capital for the embedded project management services for the Aspenwall Pump Station to Lanford Rising Main project to Mott McDonald Incorporated in the amount of $469,230.93. This amendment addresses the cost for additional project management services that are associated with the current design phase, as well as the future bidding and construction phases of the project through the end of 2024. Staff recommends that the board approve this award.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Peg McCormick Barron.
Thanks, Peg. Is there a second?
Second, BJ Lever.
Thanks, BJ. Any discussion? Specifically, Barry, what about the project is in turn, is this a time thing? Is it unforeseen circumstances? What are the reasons for the request for an amendment?
Good question. Seeing as that you guys saw this originally, the board had seen it in 2021 as the original, going back into 2019 actually, and came before the board in February of 2020 for the original approval. We had anticipated that construction would begin in 2021. So it's really the delays that are the result of the additional permitting requirements and the increased stakeholder negotiations that we have going on with adjacent authorities, and the increase in the complexity addressing all of those different stakeholders that largely is driving the duration of this project. So it's necessary to achieve those additional requirements.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Barry on this resolution? All those in favor of resolution number 9, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? All right, resolution number 9 is approved. Resolution number 10, Barry.
Resolution number 10 is a request for the board's approval to award multiple operating contracts to Mealy & Sons in the amount of $4,174,250 and to A. Felino Construction Incorporated in the amount of $5,678,910.11 respectively for the construction of the 2023 surface restoration contract, as well as the award of a professional services agreement for construction management and construction inspection services to Hatch Associates Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $1,240,000. These indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity IDIQ contracts will address the necessary surface restoration for water and sewer repair sites completed by PWSA operations and sites yet to be restored to date and sites that will be completed in the 2023 construction season. Work involves milling, asphalt placement, brick, landscaping, and concrete restoration services across the PWSA service area. Staff recommends that the board approve this award.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Audrey Morel.
Thank you, Audrey. Is there a second?
Second, Peg McCormick Barron.
Thanks, Peg. Any discussion? I'm curious, Barry, of the surface restoration work in these two contracts, how much or approximately how much is associated with the lead line replacement program?
So there's a minor amount. It's only those instances where it's an emergency lead service line replacement. So I would assume that it's probably under 5% of the contract that directly assesses or addresses those sites.
So essentially this is for our routine, if you will, work in terms of the operations in the field with normal maintenance and operation procedures.
Correct. Yeah, if you recall back prior to 2021, we used to have this contract address the capital program as well as the operating program. This is now solely and specifically addressing our operating related sites.
Very good. All those in favor of resolution number 10, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? All right, we move to the last resolution for today, resolution number 11.
Resolution number 11 is a request for the board's approval to award a change order of a capital contract for construction of the Highland 2 Reservoir Liner and Cover Replacement Project to Layfield USA Corporation in the amount of $973,965. Actual installed final quantities for some of the bid items exceeded the quantities identified in the bid contract documents, which were originally estimated by the project's engineering consultant. This change order is due to an apparent design error, which is a separate matter being addressed directly by and with the engineering consultant. It does not involve the contractor Layfield. Note that PWSA would have had to pay these final amounts, whether correctly identified in the bid or not. So staff is requesting that the board approve this award.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Erica Strasburger.
Thank you, Erica. Is there a second?
Second, BJ Lever.
Thank you, BJ. Any discussion?
Yeah, Barry, for the sake of the learning curve, you kind of undershoot the square footage overlaps or kind of, so as engineers, we learn from this. Yeah. Any thoughts on that or?
Yeah, so this one specifically takes us back to basic geometry. And so the
Slope
situation,
of the sidewalls?
you got it. You nailed it.
Did the trig.
In your spare time, right?
So estimating in a 2D world when accounting for a 3D world.
Yeah, I thought they would go with the perimeter, but yeah, it depends on the slope and the depth.
So it turns out by basic geometry that it's a 9.35% difference in quantities, which translates to a $900,000 change order.
Yeah, they probably got the lineal dimensions off of Google Earth. I still have.
I never had it, so.
Well, as a consultant, former consultant, of course, I've been on both sides of this type of issue. I mean, it's a shame that we didn't get the quantities correct. These are not unforeseen conditions. As Mike's pointing out, it should be relatively easy to determine what those dimensions were, since nothing has changed on them. And I understand you are discussing this matter with the consultant. And speaking with our legal team as well, I understand that we would have had to pay for these items anyway as a result of the work that needed to be done by Layfield. And of course, this is an award-winning project for PWSA. With all that said, I think, Barry, there's some lessons there that both internally and externally that we ought to investigate a little bit more as to how and why and what we can do to prevent that type of error in the future.
Alex, I did have one question also.
Go ahead, Jim.
When was the original design completed, when the original estimate was done for quantities needed? How long ago was that?
These quantities go back to 2019.
And when was it discovered that there was an error?
So it was in the process of the manufacturing, the original placement of the order with Layfield for trying to define the exact segments that would be cut for the liner was when they started to identify that there was an issue with this discrepancy.
And when was that?
That would be in the beginning of the project, which was closer to February of 2022.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Barry on resolution number 11? All those in favor of resolution number 11, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? All right, resolution number 11 is approved. Thank you, Barry. Are there any other items to come before the board today?
No other item, Alex. I just have one question, and it has to go back to resolution 10. Sorry, my internet was a little spotty. If I can just get more information, not now, but later. I see that 17 firms number of firms that requested solicitation was 17, but we got 3 proposals in. if I can just get information as far as like, were the ones that didn't submit a proposal, if we could understand why, were they newer? Because they had like 1 month from the moment that it was announced to actually submit. I just wanted to understand that process a little bit more.
I think that's a good question, Rosemaria. Yeah, the firms that obviously won the award are firms that have done work for PWSA previously and have had a long history with PWSA, but I'll ask Barry. Barry, if you wouldn't mind going back and finding out why the other firms did not bid and get back to Rosemaria. If you also any other board members we could copy on some type of correspondence. Thanks, Rosemaria. All right, any other matters to come before the board? All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Peg McCormick Barron.
Right, thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.